Hi guys, Howard again. Asahi Pentax were very early to the Japanese SLR scene, with Japan's very first SLR, the Asahi Flex 1 in 1952. That was quickly followed by the 1A in 1953, the 2B in 1954, and for some obscure reason the 2A in 1955. This camera followed through all the way through to 1957. In 1957, a new range was introduced, the Asahi Pentax range. There are about 6 different models released between 1957 and when my SV was released in 1962. I found it in a camera store in 1964 where it had been traded in, and my best friend and I bought it on a 50-50 basis. We shared it around between us, and it did a lot of work over the years. He eventually got out of film photography, so I inherited the camera. Anyhow, let's have a look at this poor old workhorse. This was the early days of SLRs. There were no bells and whistles on this camera. There's no preview button to press. There's no mirror lockup. It's very basic but very solid and very reliable. So the lens here is the lens I got with it. So it was the original lens that sold with the camera. It's a very nice 6-element f1.8 55mm lens with a single, looks like a single bronzy coloured coating. Also on the front we got the nameplate Asahi Pentax and the symbol, their trademark. Around on the side here we've got FP and X. They're the two PC ports for the flash, depending on whether you're using bulbs or electronic. And there's not much on the front of this camera. We've got 2 little strap lugs, and there's also the letter V on, which was originally in yellow, but it's faded a bit, but the V on top of the self-timer there. Now this has a very robust self-timer. It's this large wheel on top. So V is at the front. The theory being as it winds around, when you see the V, you know it's about to go off. But of course, you obviously have to be reasonably close to see it. But yeah, so it winds around, and it'll wind further than that, but that'll give you, that'll probably give you 4 or 5 seconds, this setting. You set it off with that little button. Okay, so it's very reliable. All right, we'll get around the top. We might as well look at the lens since it's on the camera. Nice big focus. It's all metal, of course. Nice big focusing ring there. Behind that, you'll see the focusing is within this cutout area. So it goes from 0.45 of a metre, which is about one bit less than 1.5 feet, and it's in feet and metres, around obviously to infinity. Behind that we've got a nice little depth of field scale, and then we've got the aperture ring from 1.8 in half stops, click half stops all the way around, which is rather nice. And so it goes f1.8 to f16, and we've got a switch here between automatic and manual. Leave it on automatic. If you put it on manual, it's going to, whatever aperture you've selected on the ring, it will simply stay at that for focusing and everything. There can be specific reasons why you might want to do it manually, but just leave it on automatic. So that's the down position with a little A showing there. Okay, now we're back over to the self-timer ring. As you can see, there's a nice little arrow here showing which way to wind it. There's also an arrow on top of the rewind knob. That just lifts up and rewinds as per normal, anti-clockwise. Now we've got this disc is set into the self-timer. You've got white figures representing ASA around there and green representing ASA around here. Green is representing colour film, white as black and white film, and there's a little notch there where my fingernail is actually locked into. So if you're using 200 ASA black and white film, using these little knobs, there's a couple of little knobs on top of this ring, you move it around so it's showing 200 ASA black and white with the white lettering on it against that slot. Now it's purely a reminder, there's no metering at all within this camera, so it's just to remind you if you pick up 6 months later and you say, oh, I've got 200 ASA black and white film in it. We've got a serial number up here and SV, which is the model, and that's the release button for the self-timer. Okay, if we come over here, you'll notice a tiny little window, little round window there. When you cock the camera, it comes up as a sort of orangey red. So that shows it's cocked. I mean, it's no longer cocked, that's just, you just see straight through into it. Okay, so that's a handy little thing to have, you know it's cocked. There's no ASA settings for anything here. You simply just turn it to the speed you want. Everything from B through to 1,000th of a second. They still all work perfectly. The shutter button takes the standard cable release thread, so if you're using it on tripod or anything. And there's a very nice little frame counter over here. It resets to 0 when you open the back, and it's actually a nice clear one. It's easy to see where you are with it, unlike quite a few others that are a bit hard to see. This one works very well. All right, if we get onto the back, as I say, there's not many things on this camera. It's very basic. So we've got the viewfinder window. There's no information whatsoever inside the window except for the focusing dots. There's a large prismatic dot in the middle of the viewfinder, and then you've got a smaller ring around it. They're both sort of using small prisms, which means that if the object isn't in focus, the image tends to shatter. So you just adjust it till it's a nice clear image and you know you're properly focused. We got over here the Asai Optical Company, Japan. On the bottom, we've got a rewind button, which stays in. You don't have to hold it in, and it will pop out the next time you cock the camera. And a standard 1/4-inch tripod mount. Now to open the back, there's a little tab on the bottom here. So you pull it down, it stays down, and then you can just open the back. Very standard inside here. You push the rewind lever up to drop the cassette in, push it down, pull the tongue across. The take-up spool winds inwards, winds clockwise. So you just find a nice slot, push the tongue well into it, wind it through, make sure it's taking up all right and sitting on the sprockets. You'll notice I've had to repair the blind here. There's some pinholes letting a little bit of light through, so I got some, it was in a sort of a pen, a felt tip pen, but a rubberized mixture. Anyhow, that did that years ago and it still works fine. So to shut the back, we just hold it shut and then press the little tab back up inside. All right. As you'll see on the bottom, it's been mounted on a few different tripods and things. It's done a lot of work, this little old camera. But the lens is excellent and everything still works, so it's still fully operational. So, well, look, that's about it. The Pentax SV from 1962, a very solid little camera. Actually, when I say little, it is quite small. It's just fractionally bigger than an Olympus OM1. So physically, it's quite. It's a bit smaller than some of the bigger, not Pentaxes, Nikons and Canons and things like that. It's physically smaller, but it's probably no lighter because it's really solidly built. Okay, well, look, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please like and subscribe. And it costs nothing and it keeps the algorithm happy. And apparently that's important. And it's always nice to get a bit of positive feedback. So anyhow, look, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. There are still a couple to go. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.